Hi, welcome to our channel A Star Center. Today we will learn about the story genres. Okay, year 5 and year 6 أهم story genre عندنا mystery story, horror, fantasy, adventure and science fiction. year 5 and 6 دول أهم stories عندنا لازم تبقى عارفهم. How to write the mystery story, the horror, the fantasy, the adventure, the science fiction, and what are the key features. Let's start with the mystery story. Reading a mystery is like solving a puzzle. People read them for the satisfaction or not of solving the mystery. As for the characters, usually all have different personalities so that the reader can try to figure out who done this mystery. Okay, for the features of the mystery story, first, clear characters. We have the detective is the main character, and we have the suspects, and we have the victim. So, in the mystery story or the detective stories in year 7 هتاخدوها على إنها اسمها detective story. year 7 and 8 lower secondary. البرايمري عندنا بيبقى اسمها mystery story. عندنا الديتكتيف، عندنا الفيكتيم والsuspects. All the suspects have a motive. نخلي كل suspects have a motive. Clues about the mystery. In each part in your story, in the writing, you have to put clue. A clue that refers ممكن مين عمل commits the crime أو commits أو إن هو participated in the mystery أو in the puzzle. We need to solve the puzzle. Hidden evidence. These are important pieces of evidence. Hidden in plain sight so that they seem unimportant to the reader. Type. Examples of hidden evidence, maybe we can put some sort of colors on a t-shirt of someone, one of the suspects. This color, a red color. Maybe this red color, maybe it's blood, the blood of the victim, or maybe just a red color. The reader will find whether it's just a color or the blood by reading the story. Excellent. By reading, continue reading the story. Then we have the red herrings. Red herrings misleading clues. احنا قلنا الأول في clue، بعد كده قلنا في hidden evidence بنجمعها الديتكتيف عشان نعرف الميستري. بعد كده عندنا حاجة اسمها red herrings. Red herrings are clues that seem very important but lead nowhere. طيب. Example of the red herrings, like I found a weapon, maybe a gun or something like the knife مثلا at the house of one of the suspects. But this knife is not the knife that the criminal used to kill the victim, for example. In this way, when the reader reads that one of the suspects has the knife, he will instantly think that the suspect he is the one we are searching for. But after continuing the reading or reading the story, he will find that this knife or this weapon just red herrings. It's a misleading clue. Suspense. Mysteries keep many endings possible right until the very last moment when they got solved. Okay. دايما هنخلي عندنا suspense ان انا عندي suspects 3 or 4 characters. Okay. But maybe at the end إنه criminal or who commits the crime is not one of those 4 suspects. Maybe someone the reader didn't even consider as a suspect, as a friend of the victim. Okay. This is for the mystery story. We have many vocabulary words that we need to use in the mystery story. This vocabulary for mystery, horror, fantasy, adventure, science fiction, we will learn this vocabulary in the next session, inshallah. Okay, horror. Horror is a genre that has been spoking people for centuries. People should be frightened when they read your horror story. لازم أبقى scared وfrightened while I'm reading your story. I'm on the edge زي ما بيقولوها. On the edge. Okay. Horror is a genre that has been spoken people for centuries. It's aimed to frighten or scare or disgust or startle the reader by creating feelings of terror. Think of the spookiest story you have ever heard and how it made you feel. That's horror. Features of a horror story: makes you feel something. Horror should make the reader have either a strong reaction to the story, it might be goosebumps, or it might be jumpy or on the edge. An overwhelming, dark, or evil force. This might be a monster. The dark evil force in a horror story may be a monster, maybe a scary figure, maybe a ghost, a vampire, uh, anything that could make the reader frightened and happy and scared. Okay, maybe something more realistic, but either way it will be a very part of the story. Okay, suspense. One of the common features between the mystery story and horror story is the suspense. You are never quite sure if the protagonist will win in a horror or not. Protagonist means the main character. Foreshadowing. Foreshadowing, just the opposite of flashbacks. Flashbacks is something in the past or background of the main character, while the foreshadowing is a little hint of what is going to happen. Foreshadowing and flashbacks احنا هنخصص لهم a session كاملة فيديو كامل عن foreshadowing and the flashbacks because it's very important. It's very important to use it in year 4, year 5 and year 6. This is the upper primary stage. You have to use the flashbacks and the foreshadowing to get the outstanding marks. Fear, surprise and mystery. These are key to keeping your reader reading. You don't want them to know where the plot is going. We have fear, surprise, and mystery. Don't forget these 3 elements. The mood. The overall feeling is one of the tension. Horror always based on tension, fear, suspense, and surprise. Choose your language carefully to create the mood. One of my favorite topics, one of my favorite stories, the fantasy story. Harry Potter, Alice in the Wonderland, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Our favorite movies and stories, fantasy story. Readers turn to fantasy to skip into a magical world. Fantasy worlds are detailed and thought out. They allow readers to be entertained. They allow readers to be entertained and explore somewhere that magic is real and dragons exist. How to Train Your Dragon, fantasy. Harry Potter, fantasy. قلنا مين تاني؟ Avatar, fantasy. Okay. What are the main features of fantasy story? A detailed word. Make sure you describe your word in lots of detail. احنا هنحط magical world. We have to describe this world عشان the reader can visualize the word, the magical one. Okay. 2, this is important part, and I think 90% of our students just forget to put portals in fantasy story. Maybe it's acceptable in year 1 and 2 and 3 when you take the fantasy story that you don't use the portals. But starting from year 4, 5 and 6, you have to use the portals. So what's the meaning of the portal, miss? The meaning of the portal usually that there's some kind of portal between the real world and the magic world. You are going to transport the main character or transform him from the just the real world into the magical world. Just that when it happened in Alice in Wonderland. Alice just transferred from one world to another. Okay, so important part is the portals. Don't forget the portals because it's very important to use. I will highlight this portals because you have to focus on that. Then magic. Of course, magic. I will put another color here. Maybe it's red. Magic, important element. This is the main features of fantasy story. Any fantasy relies heavily on the magical or on things that could never happen in real life. This is the main feature that is important in fantasy story. magic، وده اللي بنقدر نفرقه عن الريل لايف. ماجيك مش موجود غير في الفانتسي. ساينس فيكشن ما فيهوش ماجيك، ريل لايف ما فيهاش ماجيك، ادفنتشر ما فيهاش ماجيك، mystery ما فيهاش ماجيك. magic only in fantasy stories. So keep in your mind that magic is related only to fantasy story. Character types. Maybe you have examples like the wise old wizard, the evil witch, the plucky young apprentice, the non-human sidekick. Think about fantasy novels and try to find similarities in the characters. Maybe if we talk مثلا something like Alice in Wonderland, we have Alice and we have the talking rabbit. He was sidekick. Sidekick is the helper or the second character. He's not the main character in the story. Of course, this is a magical creature because it's a talking animal. Talking animals is considered as magical creatures. Harry Potter, we have lots of fantasy or mythical creatures and magical creatures. Then Avatar, even the main character is magical. So if you think about all these kinds of stories or all these stories, you will find magical element and magical creatures in the story. So what next? Conflict. Conflict in fantasy story can be fit the normal story structure like opening, rising action, climax, falling action, resolution or not. It's up to you. But المهم هنا ان احنا نحط الاوبننج صح. Rising action, what's the meaning of climax? Climax is the peak of the story mountain. The peak of the story mountain. هنا it's the most the most event that the problem انه هي بتبقى serious قوي و complicated قوي. The most difficult part of the story. As for the character, هنا الكاركتر he can't solve the problem in this part. مش قادر to solve the problem. This is the peak. This is the climax. Usually set in the past, most fantasies tend to have an older setting. Think about castles, woods, big open fields, forests, mountains, and villages. هنا قصدنا set in the past. As for the setting, it's not the tense that you are always use past tense in all types of stories. احنا بنتكلم ان احنا دايما بنستخدم ال past tense في كل انواع الستوري. once ان انا اول ما بلاقي a student كاتب حاجة in present لازم بعمله عليها x. don't forget to use the past tense. دي من الحاجات اللي بتنقصكوا جامد في الستوري وانت بتكتب. طيب امال هنا قصده ايه set in the past؟ هنا قصده انه كاسل، اكيد ما بقاش فيه كاسلز دلوقتي. انه قصده مثلا لو في kingdom، اكيد دلوقتي موضوع الكينجدمز بقت قليله. حاجه related to the past to the history يعني. Okay, adventure story. Adventure story is a genre that people read to escape into a world of excitement and adventure. Okay, what are the differences between adventure and fantasy? Fantasy احنا قلنا magic, while adventure excitement and journey and a quest. A quest for the main character, and the main character always a hero in the adventure story. Okay, sometimes there is a quest or to complete or a race against time, but always will always be excitement and journey. لازم هيبقى فيه excitement and journey. Don't forget this part. This is an important part. Excitement and journey. And we have here a quest to complete. Maybe we are going to use the yellow color. I think you like the yellow color. A quest to complete or a race against time. Like that. Okay, good job. Okay, خلينا نشرح كل واحدة منهم لوحدها. In stock characters, you will often find a hero, a villain, and sidekicks for each in an adventure story. So, the main characters عندي هنا hero, وعندنا a villain, a hero against a villain, وفي sidekick helping the main character or the hero. Then we have risk or danger. البلot twist, twisting the plot. إن هو لو the sidekick إن هو كان helping the hero, maybe he becomes at the end of the story to be helping the villain. A quest is very important إنه something he wants to achieve from this journey. Okay. كده احنا خلصنا الادفنتشر، ندخل على الساينس فيكشن. آخر واحدة وأهم واحدة in year 5 and year 6. Year 6, especially year 6 this year, I think science fiction is very important. Like so many other genres, science fiction exists for readers to escape into a different world. برضو في different world بس المرة دي مش magical world ولا في scary figures. المرة دي science fiction can be about time travel, technology, outer space adventures, or among other things. يبقى احنا عندنا الحاجات اللي هنعمل عليها highlight هنا: التكنولوجي، التايم ترافل، outer space adventures. Okay. Next, features of a science fiction. Time travel, traveling through the time into the future or the past. احنا دايما بنستخدم to the future. Teleports. لو قلنا انه في هنا كان في الفانتسي في بورتال، في الساينس فيكشن في teleports. اللي هو disappearing in one place and reappearing instantly in another place. انه في نفس اللحظة disappearing from this part to another part على طول at the same time. Teleports. Multiple universes. عندنا multiple universes. The Earth, the Mars. عندنا solar system. عندنا outer space. Multiple universes. Mind control, by using magic or science or something else to control the minds of others. Maybe the main character will be under the mind control of the villain. Aliens, extraterrestrial life and space travel. A lot of science is set in outer space. دي مهمة جدا. Aliens. This one, aliens, extraterrestrial life and space travel. ما تنساهمش أبدا، نعمل عليهم سيركل كبيرة كده ونخليهم كلهم يلو. كده يبقى انت فهمت ساينس فيكشن لو حطيت الثلاث حاجات دول في الساينس فيكشن ستوري بتاعتك: الالينز والاكسترا تريستريال لايف والسبيس ترافل. mutants. الميوتنتس السوبر هيومنز with genetic differences زي سبايدر مان لما حصل له genetic differences فبقى بيبقى عنده الواب اللي بتطلع من ايده. زي هالك ان هو بيبقى half human بس with anger بيبقى a monster. الميوتنتس معروفين. fictional worlds that are made up and have their own set of rules and ways of living different to our own. هنحطهم في fictional world بيبقى فيها flying cars وفيها space وفيها UFO وفيها like something like مثلا X-ray weapons. People are talking differently and are behaving differently. Aliens, robots. This is a fictional world. Okay. Maybe you, in sometimes in science fiction, is set in the past and explores something that might have happened if an historical event had gone differently. يعني إيه الكلام ده؟ ممكن you put your character in the past بقى, but the main event in the history you can twist it. يعني إيه twisted؟ إنه أنا I will think what might happen if the historical story دي had gone differently. Okay. The last thing, made up technology. هنا the sky is the limit. انت ممكن تحط اي تكنولوجي ممكن تبقى موجودة في الساينس فيكشن ستوري. يعني ممكن تحط flying cars، ممكن تحط مثلا shoes بتخلي flying shoes بتساعدك على flying. ممكن بتحط مثلا انه هيبقى half human half alien حصل له genetic differences. ممكن تحط اي حاجة made up technology. حط اي تكنولوجي ممكن تيجي في بالك تتخيل ان هي تبقى موجودة in the future. You can create a technology to do whatever you want it to in a science fiction world. اوكي، كل ده هو ده الساينس فيكشن، هي دي التايبس اوف ستوريز. طيب what we have learned today، أخدنا الحاجات المهمة. In your copybook please put these notes now. You have to write after me. The keywords for the mystery story are suspense and tension 1, number 2 red herrings, number 3 hidden clues and evidence. اوعى تنسى ال 3 elements دول في الميستري ستوري، اكتبها في النوت بوك عشان ما تنساهاش. طيب. Number 2 the keywords for horror story are dark evil force, foreshadowing, suspense and fear. ال 3 elements دول write it in your copybook or your notebook now. ما تنساهمش. عندك horror story dark، تحط الدارك evil force قلنا اللي هو زي a monster, a ghost or a vampire, anything, any scary figure. Dark evil force. Foreshadowing، اعمل foreshadowing while you are writing the horror story، واحنا فهمنا يعني ايه foreshadowing. Suspense and fear، put the suspense and fear. لو حطيت ال 3 elements دول انا بأكد لك ان الستوري بتاعتك هتبقى perfect. اوكي، تالت نوع الفانتاسي ستوري أخدناه النهاردة. عندنا في magical world، عندنا في portals، عندنا في magical creatures. يبقى هما دول ال 3 keywords في الفانتاسي ستوري: magical world، magical creatures، portals. طيب ال keywords for adventure story: quest or journey، danger، plot twist. ما تنسوش quest or journey، danger، plot twist. كده adventure story. fantasy story magical world، portals magical creatures. ما تنساهمش، تكتبهم دلوقتي حالا في النوت بوك أو تكتبيهم دلوقتي. The keywords for science fiction stories. science fiction مهمة جدا ودي الجديد السنة دي: time travel، teleports، mutants، aliens، extraterrestrial life and space travel. يبقى ايه هما ال 3 elements ل science fiction stories؟ تاني نقولهم، مهمة جدا، very important type of story أرجوكم: time travel، teleports، mutants، aliens، extraterrestrial life and space travel. Thank you for watching me today. I hope you have learned something new and I hope إن انتوا هتكتبوا الستوري المرة دي حلو. After knowing all these features, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe in our channel so you can continue all the features of the story and other non-fiction topics. Thank you. Bye.